So today I just want to talk about my journey in dentistry, dental school, dentistry, and how I got here, what I had to go through, the ups and downs and all of that. Just anything that I feel like would be useful to you guys. And I also have a couple of questions that Wendy was so kind enough to say to me that I'll just be using as a guideline. Okay. So to start off, I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Dr. Mungoshi, like I said, or Wadzanayi. Born and bred in Zimbabwe in Harare. I've never lived outside of what I have for uni, but for a very short time. But most of my life I've spent in Harare, and I went to Dominican Convent High School. That's why I did my A-levels, my O-levels and my A-levels. And then post high school, that's when I started my journey in dentistry, obviously. So yeah, how did I end up in dentistry? Well, when I was in Form 3, I had to get braces. I know it's funny because I have braces now again. It's a whole different story. But I got braces. I had to get braces when I was in Form 3. That's when I was 15. And I went to, my mom took me to Dr. Chinara's. I think at the time, because this was like 2000 and, okay, I don't want to reveal my age, but at the time, Dr. Chinara was the only orthodontist in Zim, so I think everybody just used to go there for their orthodontic treatment. So when I went there, I really wasn't expecting much. Really, I wasn't, but I was so impressed by his surgery, his setup, his professionalism. Everything was just mint. So that's when I decided, like, I literally made up my mind there then that this is what I'm going to do. I remember even I used to go for like French class with the late Miss Capelita, and she'd make us do like just recite stuff in French and say like, you know, when I grow up I want to be such and such, and I always used to say I want to be a dentist, always. And she'd ask me like, are you never going to change? Like, I'm like, no, that's what I want to be. So I literally made my mind up when I was 15, and I never looked back. Because what I knew at the time is I wanted to do something in the health field, in the health sector, I guess. But I didn't want the commitment that comes with doing medicine, like actual medicine. I didn't want to work long hours. I still don't like working long hours. I love my sleep, so this whole business of, you know, like getting calls in the middle of the night was not for me. So then I wanted to do something in that field, but then I figured, let me do something that I actually enjoy and not then regret years from now. I'm like, why did I do this? I have to wake up in the middle of the night every day. I hate it. So dentistry was the most natural option for me. Plus also, you know, Dr. Chinara really played a big part in inspiring me to choose this profession. So post high school, unfortunately, what comes with peer pressure and, I wouldn't say peer pressure, but post high school, a lot of my friends were leaving Zim, because obviously we're not on the same path, that's number one. And it was just the most logical thing to do. Even now I feel like it is the most logical thing to do for most people to leave the country because of the economic problems that are in Zim, and just, you know, to see the world. So I decided I was going to leave Zim as well because I didn't want to be left behind, and I didn't want to be at a Zimbabwean university. Just that. I just didn't want to be here. So I applied to the University of Cape Town, and they gave me some funny degree. I can't remember, but I think it was the Bachelor of, I don't remember, but it was something, it was like a BSc in Human Anatomy and Human Physiology. And I figured, it's almost like the same thing, right? So let me just do it. So I flew to Cape Town, guys, to do something that I had no interest in whatsoever. And most of the time, I can tell you that I was in Cape Town, I was not focusing on my degree. I was focused on other things because I was not interested in what I was doing. So I used to go out all the time. I never used to study for my tests. I would attend tutorials, but to me, I didn't see a future in what I was doing, so I didn't take it seriously. But luckily, you know, I was a child at the time, I really was. So my parents, the good thing about having parents is they always pull you back in the right direction, they go in the wrong direction. So eventually when I was in Cape Town, I got a call from my dad and he's like, listen, I know you always wanted to do dentistry. Please just come back and go for your interviews at UZ and we see how it goes from there. We take it from there. I came back and I got into dentistry at UZ, and honestly, I do not regret it. I think what I would have regretted is staying at UCT and just losing my way there. So yeah, that was how I ended up coming back to Zim through my parents. I remember at the time when they actually called me, I was really angry with them. I was like, what do you mean you applied on my behalf? Like, who are you? But, well, I'll always be grateful for that. So, yeah, I did my undergrad at the University of Zimbabwe. Fortunately, it's a very affordable university, so I really didn't need any financial assistance. My parents were able to pay for my tuition in full, and I did 6 years. And then now I'm currently doing my internship at Parirenyatwa Hospital and then also at Premier Medical Services. So yeah, that's like a little bit of background to how I got here. So I'm just going to answer a couple of questions that are on here and then I'll try and make it make sense. So I think I've answered quite a number. So a little bit of advice. Yeah, I think that's where we are. We're probably like on number 5. Advice for young people interested in my profession. Number 1, you have to be sure you're interested in it. Number 2, you have to be willing to give up a huge part of your life. Because it's 6 years. Most degrees, most undergrad degrees are like 3 years. So you definitely end up watching your friends graduating 3 years before you. And graduating and they start making money and then you start feeling like you're behind in life, which you're not, to be honest. But it's something that you have to be prepared to go through because you're going to go through those emotions, those feelings, and everything. So definitely be 100% sure that you want to do it and be committed to doing it, right? And also you have to plan towards it. It's not something that you just decide, oh, this is what I want to do. You have to obviously plan for it, which means when you're in high school, you have to get the good grades because for UZ, they only take 14, 15 points in math, biochemistry, physics. An A in math is a must. Sorry, in chemistry is a must. An A in chemistry is a must. So these are definitely things that you have to be planning for prior to applying into med school because you will definitely need good grades. Yeah, so the most important thing, be sure that's what you want to do. Because if you're not sure, it's definitely a job that's very demanding and it will lead to a lot of mental problems, mental health issues, if it's something that you were never really committed to, okay? And then the 3 big things that I think will affect the future of dentistry. So dentistry is right now I feel like it's one of the few professions that are getting into technology, incorporating technology into the profession. So there's a lot of work with digital scanning, digital printing, 3D printing, and all that. So I feel like it's going to be such a huge part of dentistry in the future. Right now it is, but it's not as big. I mean, in Zim, there's very few people practicing digital dentistry. People are still using, alginates, stuff like alginates, and Yellowstone casting, stuff like that. But you find that in the first world, people are now moving towards digital dentistry, which involves actually things like crown. You can literally print it out of a machine and you don't have to make it physically in a lab. So I think that's going to be the biggest theme in the industry. That's going to be the main big one. So it's something that I would encourage you, if you're into dentistry, to make sure that you're knowledgeable about it, especially if you're planning to leave the country, because they're going to want to know that you're up to date, so to speak. And then the last question, oh guys, I wanted this to go over 10 minutes, it probably will, but last question. Who do you admire the most? I'm not even trying to be funny or anything, but I'm a huge fan of Beyonce, very huge fan. And it's not only because she's the greatest performer alive, but I am extremely inspired by her work ethic. I think she's one of the few people, the few celebrities out there that I would say is very passionate about her craft. She's not only passionate about it, she puts so much hours into it, and she's very business minded. And it's something that I always aspire to be. Like I aspire to be like her, you know. In my field, obviously not as a singer or a celebrity, but in my field it's such a good quality to have, to be so passionate about your craft. You don't want any mistakes, you want perfection, you want to deliver something that's good, a good product to people. So yeah, I get my inspiration from Beyonce, and I know a lot of people are tired of hearing this, but it is what it is. But yeah, this was so much fun. I've gone over 10 minutes, I'm sorry, but if you have any questions, you can email me. My email is wadzanayimungoshi@gmail.com. I am willing and happy to answer any question. And I just want to say thank you to GenZim for this opportunity. And yeah, bye.